Hey, welcome back to Project Addiction. So today we're working on my LR4. And this is a problem that I've been having with it for a little while. I've been kind of struggling trying to figure out what's going on with it. So the story is, the vehicle had a pretty bad idle hunt, or I should say has a pretty bad idle hunt. When you come to a stop at an intersection, the vehicle will sit there surging and trying to almost push through the brakes. You can watch the TAC sit there doing this as well. And it's been doing this intermittently on and off for the past number of months. Eventually, I finally got a DTC code, which indicated that I had a vacuum leak in the intake manifold, and then later on, I got a lean bank 1, lean bank 2 code as well. So the first thing I did was I smoke tested it with a homemade smoke tester, and I did find a vacuum leak in one of the vacuum lines. It was a pretty big one too. So I fixed that, cleared the code, took it out for a drive. The manifold vacuum leak code went away, and one of the cylinder bank codes went away as well. The lean bank 2, I believe it was, came back on again for a little bit and then eventually cleared itself as well. So now I've got no DTC codes, no check engine light, but I still have the idle hunt. So that means that there's still something else going on. Unfortunately, I lost all of the footage from that original diagnostic, so we're gonna have to go without that. But I did notice something else the other day when I was on the freeway. I went to pass a vehicle, I put my foot down to the floor, and suddenly, well, here, have a look. Yeah, that's not tire smoke. I couldn't see the vehicle behind me. I couldn't see anything behind me, actually. And everybody behind me on the freeway hit the brakes too, because they probably thought my engine blew up. So that got me thinking. Obviously, I still have a vacuum leak somewhere, but if I can't find it with my smoke tester, it's probably not an external leak. That smoke has to be coming from somewhere. That means when I go wide open throttle, the engine is drawing in oil from somewhere in the engine. So what I suspect is going on is I suspect that we might have a bad PCV valve. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to pull it apart, pull the PCV valve out and inspect it, and hopefully, that's what's causing our problem. So first things first, we gotta get the engine cover off to access the valve covers. Nice and easy on the 5 liter. Now our PCV valves are very easy to access. There's actually 2 valves. They're sitting right back here on the right valve cover. So let me show you here. These 2 circular things, those are your PCV valves. Just make sure you don't break this line to access them. But we're gonna pop those 2 off and we'll have a look and see what kind of condition they're in. Now make sure that you've got new ones before you take these off, because there's a good chance you break them coming off. They're not really designed to be removed. They're designed to be put on and then stay there for life. All right, so these are our new PCV valves. Now, if you go down to Landrover to try and buy these, you're gonna find it's going to cost you a fortune, and that's because you have to buy the entire valve cover just to get these. I also tried buying them at my local parts store, but I had no luck, so I ended up just going on Amazon to pick them up. It's like, I think 25 bucks or something, and you get both of them. So let's have a look and see what we get in the package. Not much. That's our valve. You see it's got a diaphragm on the back. These are the retaining clips that hold it in place, and just a spring. That's all there is to it. So we're gonna take this other one off just by getting in behind these retaining clips with a pick or a screwdriver, pry them up a little bit, pop the old one off, and we'll see what we're looking at. But before we do that, don't forget, hit that like and subscribe button. It helps me out, and it gives me a lot more motivation to keep making these videos. Alright, so we've got our first valve off, and you can see why I say you need to have your new ones handy before you take these off. Because as soon as you start putting any pressure on those little clips, they just break. So, need a new one to put in place, because this one's obviously not going back on. But, let's have a look at this here. And this is just one of the two valves. There's our problem. Look at that, it just falls right apart. It's completely shot. So we're gonna get the second one off and have a look at it and see how bad it is. All right, and we've got the second one off. And again, those clips, they just disintegrate. So let's pull this up and take a look. Oh yeah, I don't even need to pull this one up. Look at that. So, I think it's pretty safe to say that this is most likely where our vacuum leak was coming from. So we're gonna throw those new ones on again, take it for a test drive, and hopefully we'll have this vacuum leak and severe smoke issue sorted out. Before we put the new ones on, we're just gonna quickly clean up the sealing surface here, because we don't want to induce another vacuum leak after we do this. Then to put the new valves on is very simple. Pop the spring in place. Once the spring is seated, make sure the diaphragm is centered. Then we'll line up these clips with the tabs that are sticking out of here and simply press it into place. Make sure that this piece seats down into the groove. If it sits on top or gets folded over like that, you could run into some problems. Well, that was a nice simple job to do at least. There's easy access to those PCV valves and really no special tools required at all to remove or install. So that about wraps this one up. All I gotta do now is take it for a test drive, make sure the smoke is gone, and hopefully our idle hunt is finally sorted out as well. But with how big the tears were in the diaphragms, I think it's pretty obvious what our problem was. So until next time, get out in the shop, work on something, build something, just go do something with your hands. Have a good one.